Welcome to the Prediction Desk. Mark Carney, our globalist prime minister, has shared his policies for Canada this week. We're going to talk about his policies, foreign and domestic, and make our predictions on how these policies will affect Canada going forward. So, first on the docket, Mark Carney's housing policy. So, we're going to reference a CBC article here. Mark Carney has mentioned that he wants to build housing at an industrial scale. What do you think about that, Will? Well, I share the article.
Let's look at the article. We'll go through it.
So I think he mentioned he wants to build prefabbed homes. Like, I think I saw some press pushback on X, people saying like, "Oh, these houses are going to be very poor quality and they're not going to appreciate." What's your take on that?
There's nothing wrong with housing not appreciating, as long as it's not a huge part of someone's assets, a huge amount of their net worth, and they're not trying to speculate on it, right? You can say that it's a good thing for new home buyers, and it's actually a problem that all governments have to face, right? Which is the appreciating home price, because it's people's sort of retirement. And if it appreciates too much, well, the new families can't afford it, right? So it's a balancing act. So I take all these sort of arguments one side or the other. I don't think it matters. I think what's important is this new construction agency type thing, right? Like who's he giving the money to? You know what I mean? That's my question. Like who's going to win that bid for that $13 billion? Is that 13?
You're suggesting corruption?
I'm not suggesting, right? It's just like that's the question, right? Like who's building this thing, right? Where are they getting this stuff from? Who's the right? Because it sounds like
so 13 billion earmarked for the new agency. Are this for 4,000 modular homes?
Yeah, $4,000. Wait, 4,000 homes. Wait, how many? How much is the cost of one home then?
With the scale up to 45,000 though. So
okay. Oh, okay. So it's just
isn't this really way
4,
above market?
It depends, right? It depends what they're offering, and like if it's 45,000 condos, right? Like a condo unit, that's different, right? And a housing unit, right? If it's a duplex, townhouse, all these things. So it's a bit in the air right now. But I would ask these questions. Like where I'm just skeptical of this. Okay, I don't think it's going to do anything. I think it's just it's going to take so long for them to actually implement this. Okay, so they have to get the suppliers. Some crony needs to get rich, one of his cronies, and then it's happening in multiple municipal jurisdictions. Wait, let's take a look. It mentioned like Winnipeg, I think, and like some
Winnipeg.
Right, so you got multiple,
Toronto.
and Quebec, so it's got like multiple provincial jurisdictions, multiple municipal jurisdictions, and that just doesn't work. Okay, you're gonna run into.
I wonder why it's also Ontario focused. Like
yeah, so
Ottawa,
yeah, Ontario,
Toronto,
the West, East, the Francophones, right?
but why Nova Scotia? Aren't their housing prices like depressed?
Well, I
Wouldn't they
don't know.
want to like have some appreciation?
My point is this: you're gonna run into so much bureaucracy and red tape and inefficiencies, right? Because they're gonna have to approve of all these things, and you're gonna have to approve of all the designs and stuff like that, right? How are you going to scale it across different cities, right? How are you going to scale this across different provinces? There's different regulations.
Like site prep as well, right? Like utilities and all that stuff,
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
I think that's most of the cost in terms of like utility hookups and permitting for
Yes.
Yeah, and also
all
permitting.
That, okay, and then there's like the land. So this is a terrible way to approach industrial policy. Like number one, which I mean he probably has to, right? But that's because Canada is not a centralized government, so you can't do centralized industrial policy like this.
Well, I think a better solution would be just have like modular components of homes, and then allow you to like Lego block houses like that, right? And all those are approved by code, right? Wouldn't that be better?
Look, the materials stuff don't even matter. Okay, the biggest problem with industrial projects is the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy, efficiency, and corruption. So these are the three big factors. Okay, like the actually how to do the thing and how to get it done. I think people can solve. Like that's a very solvable problem. You know what I mean, right?
So why not use the private sector? Like, wouldn't this have even more bureaucracy, making the government agency? Because unions are involved and like lots of like political grandstanding.
Yeah, that's why I don't think it's even going to get off the ground. Heck, I don't even think it's going to get off the ground by the time he leaves office.
So people are just like steal the money and then say build like
and the fact that
two
it's a
homes.
government thing, it's gonna be like, yo, let me charge even more, right? Like, let me, what do you call it? Like, raid the purse, right? While I can.
Wouldn't like a government backstop for housing supply be a better idea? Like let's say like condo developers, like okay, for every condo you build, I'll buy this condo for this price, no matter how much, up to this amount
Well, the
every year.
problem is, do people want condos, right? Like, you have to build things that people want, right?
But what about three bedroom condos or something? I think that's like a missing middle that a lot of people complain about, like very big
Look, these
condos
things, they
that
have to do
people have
research or
families.
studies, right? And then they're probably gonna do some stupid stuff like get like McKinsey to do something to get the result that they want, right? The analysis that they want, and then they can implement this. You get what I mean? So like, all of this stuff is just corruption and inefficiency, right? So I think the right way to do this, okay, if Canada even has a resolve to do something like this, is to do it in one city. And you can see this, which is with all countries that have pursued industrial policy. Okay, right?
You want to test it in one city first
You test it in one place, right?
and
That's how
refine it.
China does it. That's how Singapore does it. They sort of say, hey,
But
like,
what if what the housing crisis is that like bad
well,
that
they just didn't have enough homes. But so like, what they did was, they're like, okay, we'll give you like absolute power over this small region, or like this series of cities, right? And your job is to modernize, blah, 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 right? And we don't really care. We'll set some metrics and stuff like that, but we'll get rid of most of the red tape, right? You know what I mean? Because that's how they do it. And then it sort of happens. But he's not mentioning any type of red tape sort of removal.
reform?
Yeah, reform, right?
Well, so it's like I think what you're suggesting is sort of like in Japan, nationalize like all the building codes, nationalize all the zoning, right?
Well, he doesn't even have to do that. You can sort of say like, hey, right? Let's say we want to do it in Toronto, right? It's a hypothetical example, okay? Or like, hey, I want to take Toronto. Then I'm gonna be like, okay, I'll give you special like jurisdiction over this area to like speed up the process of approval.
Special economic zone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, special economic zone, right? Like, all the developing countries do this, right? Where they're like, yo, we don't care about sort of, like, there's not going to be environmental protests. You know what I mean?
So you're saying Canada's in such a crisis that a special economic zone would be justified.
Well, yeah, they should. Canada clearly is in an economic crisis. I mean, we are in economic peril, but this isn't going to solve anything, right? And at this point, we have to make the decision as a nation whether we are going to pursue independence from the US, right? Which is what Mark Carney is trying to sell us, but he's not actually going to do anything. You know what I mean? He's trying to sell us that, we're going to still try to maintain our independence while he sells out the Canadian economy more and more to his cronies,
his donors.
Yeah, his donors, or people that, the oligarchs, right? Or we'll get in line and sort of toe the line and be part of the, the 51st state, or whatever you want to call it, right? And all these things he's doing is just not actually helping Canadians.
It doesn't move the needle.
Yeah, it's not going to get off the ground. Okay, like, I'll take a bet. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you like a bet. I'll give you like a 2-to-1 odds. This thing doesn't even get started by the time, like, they're not going to have anything built by the time that
No shovels in the ground.
Yeah, 4 years from now, nothing is going to get built.
Okay, moving on
Not
to his
single house.
official industrial policy statement here. This is the Prime Minister. So let's just try to summarize this. Strong, confident workplace. So they got to reskill a bunch of Canadians.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Okay, next. Like, look, how can you reskill people with extended benefits? Okay, all right. Next.
So you give you EI while being trained, I believe. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I think it's hard. Even like white collar workers are being displaced and not be able to be retrained.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, we'll leave it at that. New strategic response fund.
Okay.
Basically,
so
combat tariffs.
Right. It's something that, okay, so it's using Canadian money to prop up these oligarchs, right? It's to prop up these oligarchs to do what? You know what I mean? Right? To prop up the Canadian steel industry that we don't really need.
Does Canada not need the steel industry? Like, let's say they all went away. Like, is that actually good for Canada?
Well, look, here's the thing, right? We have to make the choice. Again, I say this. Are we going to be part of the American sort of system, right? Or are we going to continue to pursue our own interests, right? And if we're going to pursue our own interests, then it's like, yes, you need all these things, right? You need military independence. You need strategic independence, right? You need foreign policy independence. You need all the natural resource independence. But we've already seen from the election that, Carney's already backing down, right? He's not going to fight for Canada, right? So what's he fighting for? And when I say he's backing down, he backed down from the digital service stuff.
That
Right?
could
So
be huge.
Right. That's the biggest thing. So he's like, I'm not going to make Canada independent, right? I'm not going to pursue this super hard, super tough road, right? I'm not going to do the things that are going to benefit Canadians right? Like Canada as a nation independently, right? Because it's too hard and too difficult.
Like, I don't think we like pushed Trump hard enough. I think Trump would have tacoed if we actually went full nuclear with him. Like, okay, if you want to fight, well, we will fight, and then Trump will just go taco.
Yeah, the truth is Canada never
he'll
really,
always chicken out.
Right. The truth is Canada never really fought. Okay, so Canada's give up fighting. Okay, so Canada's not going to fight. So now the other thing is, okay, so why don't we just, right? Obviously, we can't say, hey, like let me be the 51st state, right? Because Mark Carney's whole platform was like, hey, let me not be the 51st state. Let me be this, pro-independence sort of, like, we're going to be a strong nation type guy, right? Like, okay, you're going to do that, but then you cave, right?
You got the mandate.
Right, you got
but
the mandate.
He's caving.
Right. He's caved, and what's he doing? He's saying, hey, I'm going to use all this government money to help Canadians. But whose money is the government's money? Oh, it's Canadians' money. So we're going to use Canadian money to prop up Canadian things to benefit who?
In unproductive industries.
Yeah, these industries to sort of, right? To sort of, oh, okay, like let me help, like Canada, right? Like let me help my cronies, because it's not going to help Canada, right? And I've already said before how you would actually help Canada, right? On both sides. Right? Like if you wanted to capitulate or to be more with the US, which is what, I think is the easier way, right? And the better way to
like what Japan and Korea did? Like just like full
not even that.
colony?
Well, look, we are already a colony. We just refuse to accept that, number one.
We have none of the benefits, right?
Yeah,
of
we
being
don't
a colony.
have any, well, we military protection. That's but like that's guaranteed,
well,
because we're so close.
Yeah, but in our previous podcast we mentioned that
yeah,
it's gonna be there regardless if we're a colony or not.
Yeah, I don't think Canada needs a military. You know what I mean? Like I think US would defend our interests regardless. Right? They're not going to let Russian subs fucking come right to the Canadian coast and not do anything about it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Right? I think the US would be like, yo, what the fuck you doing? You know what I'm saying? Right? So it's like, okay. Right? So then America's like, hey, like we're going broke. We need some help, right? So like you either lower your stuff and like let us get cheaper, right? Or you just get integrated with us. So then, all your oligarchs and all your Canadian monopolies and stuff get the
zombie companies.
Yeah, all your Canadian zombie companies or whatever you want to call it, get the fuck out of the way. Right? But they're not going to get out of the way, right? These Canadian things, because they need them to continue making money so that they can be Canadian and then continue scalping the poor. Right? Where, the average Canadian continue degrading our life by providing terrible services. Hello, Rogers.
So this is the next point, right? Buy more Canadian.
Yeah, like what are you buying?
They explicitly want more protectionism, right?
Yeah, it's like this, right? Look, if you want life to be better for Canadians and you want to pursue independence, you're like, hey, I want to be an independent Canada. I'm not going to rely on the US. What am I going to do? Okay, then I'm going to let Chinese EVs in.
Like what Australia did.
Yeah, it's like
because they don't make autos anymore. If Trump doesn't want to let us make autos, we'll buy Chinese EVs.
Yeah, we'll buy Chinese. We'll buy the cheapest steel, right? Oh, but we can't do that, right? Because that's anti-American, right? And also Canadians ourselves, we need to be like, yo, hey, like, right? We have to make a decision, right? Do we want to make money or do we want to be morally righteous and all of that, right? Like, yo, I'm gonna take all that Saudi money. Give me a bunch of Saudi money. I'd be like, yo, hey, like, what infrastructure projects do you want to make? Right? Like
give me some Indian money as well, right? Like some Chinese money.
Yeah. Like, why are we starting these fights with all these other countries? You know what I'm saying? Right? On America's behalf, right? If we're truly an independent nation, we don't start these fights, right? You don't want to start fights with anyone. Just come here, do business, give money, improve the life of Canadians, if that's what you want to do. But you want
Well,
to,
Canadians already suffered the last decade, right? The
yeah.
past
But like, look,
10 years.
yeah. But what Canadians Canadians need to decide is like, hey, like, look, do we want to be grandstanding, right? Have all the moral righteousness of the United States, and talk crap and say we're a big kahuna, right? Because we're standing behind the U.S. military, right? Because the U.S. military is the only one that's gonna go out there and actually do anything, or have any impact, right? We're gonna sail our warships next to other countries for no fucking reason. Like, why?
We have no
Why?
like operational subs.
Yeah. Like, why do we care about freaking the right of navigation or whatever? Like, no, we don't even have any freaking overseas trade that actually matter. Okay, because guess what? Those countries don't like us. Okay.
Well, to be fair, we have some Arctic that's melting right now.
Yeah.
That's gonna be relevant soon.
Yeah, and the U.S. is going to be a part of it, right? So that's why I'm saying we should just embrace the 51st state. You know what I mean? Like, hey, get rid of these Canadian oligarchs, right? I'm pro improving the life of every Canadian, right? I think if we have actual competition with Google, Amazon, and stuff like that against Rogers, right? Instead of Rogers taking a middle cut, or like these Canadian grocery stores, nobody likes Fortinos, Loblaws, whoever these donkeys are, right? You get them out of here. You know what I mean? Like let Whole Foods come in, right? Costco's already beating the crap out of these Canadian friends.
Even Walmart.
Yeah,
Walmart.
Walmart. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Get rid of all the regulation that we have, right? Across the borders and stuff like that. Right? Just make us one nation. And then give us US dollars. Because you know what? I want US dollars. Fuck the
So you can
Canadian
actually
dollar.
save, invest.
Yeah. So that we can actually be a part of the American economy. Because guess what? All our best talent's going to America. Why? Because that's where you make money. All our best talents are in America. All our investments are America. Fuck. Dude, where's Carney? Huh?
He went to America.
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs, bro. The guy went to the UK. He ain't Canadian. Dude, he's as Canadian as those YouTube videos where you see, these people complaining. I hate these people on shorts. They complain, oh, I was out and about traveling. I worked overseas, blah, 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 blah. And then I come back and I don't want to be in Canada. I realize Canada's not the same. I don't want. You didn't do anything about it. Where the fuck were you? Huh?
You're
Did you pay
supporting
Canadian
foreign
taxes?
countries.
I didn't think so. You're out there living your life. You know what I mean? And you can't want to come back and you expect Canada to maintain the same quality of living when you haven't done anything about it, right? Where is that? Where is this like obnoxiousness coming from? Right? This entitlement.
Okay, moving on. Let's skip to this one. There's more of the same. I think liquidity to these tariffs. I think we are over that. But the canola farmers and agricultural producers. This is like because of the China tariffs retaliate against the EV tariffs.
Yeah.
So we
right
wouldn't
now,
even need this if we didn't have the EV tariffs.
Yeah, we are in this middle ground, right? Where we're stuck between right? There's three things. Okay, we go full independence, right? Canada's fully independent. What does this mean? What does this mean? This means that we don't care about American interests, right? And what does this mean? This means that we want to make our Canadian lives better, right? What does this mean? That means we need to do things that are maybe anti-American, right? Which is getting Chinese EVs because they're the cheapest, right?
Well, arguably better right now.
Yeah, arguably.
Model Y equivalent, you can get it for like $27K US dollars.
Yeah, they'll be better, cheaper, right?
And it's like $50K American, so it's like literally half the price.
And you can just give them stipulations like, hey, you have to do what Toyota did, which is like build maintenance and like hire Canadian workers to like work on the cars, which makes sense because they're not going to ship the car back to China to fix it. They have to fix it.
Or forced technology transfer, right?
Yeah,
you just do the same thing what they do, right?
It doesn't matter, right? Like they'll
Make
be
them
like
train
Canadian
Magna
dealerships and all these things, right? Instead of going along with all these American things, right? Why are we sanctioning all these stupid, like why do we do we import a bunch of, people from India and then we start a fight with Modi? Like why? Right? Like this like, yeah, they assassinated somebody. Like we probably do covert ops there too. You know what I mean? Like yeah, too bad that's undemocratic. Who cares, yo? You know what I mean? Like shit happens.
Pick your battles.
Yeah, pick your battles. Right? You can't just be like, oh, okay, I expect you to be super morally righteous, bro. Like, right? We just don't antagonize people that give us money and make our lives better. It's very simple, right? And that includes the United States, right? So we just need to rebuild that relationship, right? But if we're not going to do that, then why are we going halfway? What's this? We're antagonizing everybody, including the United States, right? right? We piss off China, we piss off India, we piss off Saudis. We're like, yo, man, we don't want your money. We're too good for that. We're too good for your money. Then the U.S.
We
is like, well,
we
then yeah,
we
you're
got
gonna
moral support from the EU though.
yeah, and then yeah, and then it's like, yo, hey, right? Then we're like, yo, hey, yo, U.S. homie, what's good? And U.S. is like, yo, fuck you, I need more money, right? It's getting tough out there, right? You with me? You with me? Right?
Protection fee has gone up.
Right? Yeah, protection fee's gone up. I can't have your oligarchs making so much money anymore. Okay? You're because Canadians aren't getting richer. Canadians' quality of life, we're the worst in the G7. We're the terrible, right? So Canadians can't get richer. So guess who's getting richer in Canada? Oh, the rich people. And they're like, yo, wait, give us a cut of that. Huh? Give us a cut of that. Canada's like, nah, we can't do that. We can't screw over our rich. You know what? We need to be Canadian. Time to stand up for ourselves. Let's vote in the most elitist of all elitists because he stands up for Canadians. The guy who doesn't spend time in Canada. The guy who's got multiple properties anywhere. The most globalist of them all, who doesn't care about anything in Canada. Mark Carney.
So you're saying we should lean in completely one way or the other?
Yes.
Like either go complete U.S. colony or U.S. state, or fight
right now. Is the best
fight to the death with the U.S.
It is the best time to argue for a United States. Because look, let me say this: no other president would give us as good offer as we can to Trump, because Trump really wants this. You know what I mean, right? Like we're like, hey, like if you go to another president, you're like, right, a more reasonable one, let's just say, and you're like, hey, like make me a U.S. state. They might be like, hey, we'll make you a territory. We don't want
make
states.
you Puerto Rico.
Yeah. We
make
don't
you
want
Guam.
it, right? Like if another Republican president, right? If it was another Republican president, they might not even want to be Canadians to come in because they'll bring in a lot of Democrat votes. But Trump is going to be like, yo, this is going to look so good, and I'll pay up the ass for it. You know what I mean? Because like this is such a huge win, right? Like I will show that I am the man, right? This is the perfect time for Canada to be like, okay, you know what? You already protect us militarily. We already sell you resources for cheap. Right? Why don't you just let us? And we're barely making money on it. Or the average Canadian's definitely not making money on it, right? Because look, what happens when it becomes American owned, or like you get paid in American dollars? What does this mean? This means that your fiat is going less.
More stabilized.
Yeah, more stabilized. It's definitely your purchasing power is decreasing less than when you have Canadian dollars. Everyone knows that. Look how well the Canadian dollar is doing. Terrible. And you get the benefits of American industry, American economies of scale, right?
Larger market,
market.
So these Canadians can access the American market much more easily because it's one country now.
Yeah. All of these things, right? All of these things are much easier, right? There's no need for competition because we'll be in the same country, right? So Trump can't say, oh, yo, it's in America's strategic interest to reshore these things from Canada. Can't say that anymore.
Well, the people that argue that like we're gonna lose all our history in our
history? You're gonna lose it anyways. I rather
be poor and have history, or versus be wealthy and.
What do you mean, dude? We can
start a new chapter, right? You're saying
start a new chapter, right? Like this is look. How about improving the lives of Canadians? I feel like that's a more noble goal than preserving history. You know what? It actually pissed me off the fact that you just said that just now. You know what? Fuck the people that say that. You know why? Okay. It's like the same shit that the environmentalists say. Okay, we gotta preserve the environment, bitch. If you preserve the environment 2,000 years ago, you still been living in the jungle. You want to live in the jungle? No electricity, no roads, no cars, no internet?
Well, the pioneers clear cut all the forests, right? Like, Toronto used to be all these forests.
Yeah. You want to live in mud flats, igloos? I don't. Okay, so fuck you if you say that shit. Right? Like the environmentalists, another thing, right? That's why this housing project will never get off the ground, right? There'll be complaints about the type of concrete they use, the amount of pollution it generates,
no, the noise
stuff, right? The waste, building things that people won't buy, all this crap. Okay, and that's this other thing, right? That's what I'm talking about. This indecisiveness, right? With the Mark Carney government, right? Which is just like, hey, look, if you want to do industrial policy, if you want to centralize, then go do that. Wait, you can't do that. Why can't you do that? Oh, because you don't have the mandate. You don't have a democratic, you don't have a majority, right? Do they have a majority? I don't.
No, they have a minority.
Exactly. It's a minority government, right? So it's like, yo, you can't do that, right? But then you're like, okay, let me do industrial policy. Let me use all of Canadians' taxpayers' money to bail out all my rich friends because, I want to fight Trump to win my next election, right? And then I'm not going to get anything done. and I'm gonna just make people hate me more. The Americans, they're just gonna be tougher on trade. And I said I'm tough. I can't do anything. Right? I'm gonna piss off the Chinese. I'm gonna piss off the Indians. I'm gonna piss
Well,
off
to be fair,
anybody
the
with money.
Americans are sympathetic to the Canadians
Well,
getting
yeah,
cucked right here.
yeah, but it doesn't matter. They're still gonna, tariff us. And then it's like, okay, let me go talk to the EU. Oh, well, guess what? They're in trouble too. It's like two poor people talking about, hey, man.
Yeah, I don't think Canada has any leverage here. Like, we can't like go to Chinese like, oh, come help us out. It's like they'll be like, you arrested our CFO,
Yeah.
our Hawaii CFO.
No, well, like
They haven't
the thing
forgotten
is,
about that.
the thing is, it's like, hey, you know what? It's like if Canada really goes and says, hey, like we want to pursue our own path, they wouldn't even believe us because like we're so close, it can't. You know what I mean? We don't have the military means to do that, right? So it's just like, okay, right? And the other thing is, we say we have all these natural resources. We're so big. We're so good. America has just as much natural resources. You don't think America has the? Who's shipping natural gas to Europe right now? Is it the Canadians? No, right? It's the Americans, right? Shipping liquefied natural gas, right? Who's got the most
Well,
oil boom going on right now? Is it Canada? No, it's the Americans.
because we don't have a pipeline, right?
Hmm?
That's the issue, right? I
No,
think
the
the
American
biggest
itself
issue is
is
we
a
don't.
resource-rich country. Okay, so like,
Well, they're also more permissive in terms of polluting as well, right?
yeah, so like we need to get rid of all this red tape, right? Like if you want to get rid of all this stuff, centralize the stuff, right? Get rid of all these like interprovincial crap, right? Instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna do all these things everywhere. Oh, let me build some houses here. Let me build some houses there. How about you build a house in one place, make sure it works, and then be like, oh, yo, Alberta, copy this shit.
Build an MVP and
Yeah,
then like
yeah.
scale it.
Yo, Ontario, copy this shit. Yo, Nova Scotia, copy this shit. Some other city, copy this shit. Yo, I don't want this. Get this shit out of here, right? But no, you gotta do this other thing, and then right? Let's go back to the art. What else is there?
There's another one. Military and foreign policies. This
Okay,
guy
we've
is
been railing on that for enough, right? It's just
yeah. So this guy's telling us to let's call him
modernize
this
the
Kyle
military.
Matthews.
And do what?
Yes.
What are we gonna do with the military? What are we gonna do? Right? I'm a
So apparently
huge
Canada like reached their like recruitment goals recently. So there's like some signs of nationalism, right? People are proud to be Canadian, so
but I think it's
patriots
just because people are
enlisted.
unemployed.
Okay, that's another way to look at it. Yeah.
Right? Look, if you want to be a self-sufficient, independent nation, which we can't be, all right, like militarily speaking, okay, we can't. We rely on NATO alliances. We rely on all these things to keep our enemies at bay, right? Whether it's China, whether it's Russia, whether it's whatever, right? Our challenges to the Arctic claims, right? Yada yada, right? Canadian troops can't, dude. Name one country Canada can actually be in a military conflict. Dude, Canada can't do anything. All right, that's the truth. Okay, that's the
If we
truth.
really put our minds to it, I think we could actually be a lot of countries, to be honest. But
What do you mean,
that'll
really?
cost a lot.
No, we
Like it'll
couldn't.
cost a
Okay,
lot.
dude, Canada
No.
can't beat anyone. All right.
Well, during World War II, Canada was one of the biggest militaries in the world. It was literally like the second biggest navy or something. But everyone else got destroyed.
World War II, second biggest navy, bro. What kind of crack are you smoking? Okay, the British had a huge navy. The Americans had a huge
No,
navy.
they got wrecked. They got wrecked.
Okay,
Because
and the
Canadians like,
Japanese.
they were still they
Okay,
got wrecked as well
yeah, that's
at the
because they got
end of
destroyed
World War II. Yeah, at the end of
at the
World
end
War
of
II.
World War II. Okay, look, let's be honest. Canada can't do anything right now. Okay, Canada can't build anything. Right, you're gonna rely on American technology. Okay, Canada doesn't have domestic. Right, Canada has no domestic technology to build these things. Right, we're buying F-35s, and then we're saying, oh no, we're not going to buy F-35s. We're going to buy, you know what? We're going to buy the French Rafales, or we're going to buy the Swedish Gripens. Aha! Now we're being patriotic, dude. The Gripen has American tech in it. Okay, like the biggest crap I hear is like freaking Canada is we're gonna pivot to the Europeans who are also going broke. Okay, by the way, they're like I don't understand where they have magical money when they're all going into debt and they're all building up their own armed forces. So I don't even know how they're gonna invest in Canada. Like
Well, they've already agreed to pay the king's ransom as well to America.
yeah. And like Britain's one of the first countries to be like, okay, yeah, whatever you want, US. So like why can't we do that and then just like, you know, live a better life?
Yeah, well, I'm shocked. Why can't we get the same deal as the UK or Japan?
Dude, honestly, if he offered dude, we should get the freaking Greenland deal or whatever it is. 100K for every Canadian. Fuck it, put this to a vote.
100K referendum.
Yeah, referendum this. You know what? Because we're so big and awesome, right? We say to Trump 200K. I think Trump would pay 200K. I mean,
I think citizens will really think about it. 200K would really change
We
a lot
got
of people's
200
lives.
American dollars, bro. Not even your Canadian crap, right? And
So it'll be
then
300K Canadian.
right? Yeah, 300K Canadian basically, right? And we get rid of the Canadian dollar, right? So like in future, all you're making is American dollars, which obviously will recalibrate the whole economy and everything, right? But we get rid of all this crap, right? But let me just go through. Let me just double check this grip and stuff to make sure that it is, if I'm not mistaken, it does use American engines and everything because I remember it does. Actually, let me just ask Grok. But anyways, that's my point, right?
So this guy's talking about scaling into like asymmetric warfare, right? Like
Yeah, who
drones,
are we
AI, and all
warring?
that stuff.
Why? Look, we are a poor country going broke. The lives of our citizens are terrible. Our quality of life's going, and this lunatic over here is saying, "Hey, well, let's go to war." Oh, yeah, let's go help fight more wars. For what? What did Afghanistan do for Canada?
So like even
What
if
did
you're
the war
poor,
on
you need
terror do
like
for
you
Canada?
need sovereignty, right? You don't have military. You can't have sovereignty with the military. Right? Even I think even Singapore, back when they're like a swamp nation, where like living in the swamps and illiterate, they had a military first, right? As well.
Yeah. So wait. Let me. I just looked this up. Okay. Approximately 1/3 of the Gripen's components and systems come from U.S. supplies, making it the most Americanized among European multi-role fighters.
How much? What
Congratulations.
percent again?
1/3.
1/3.
Yeah. So
So
basically, if
it's not
America decides,
flyable.
yeah. So basically, if the America decides, you know what, fuck your Gripen, they can literally just say fuck your Gripen. Okay. So
You're not
right.
flying.
Yeah, you're not flying. All right. Right. This led to real world issues such as potential US vetoes on sales to countries like Colombia. All right. So, bro, this whole pivot to Europe is already a thing to the US. You know what I'm saying?
They're already paid tribute and they're a colony of the U.S.
Well, like, yeah, if you want to view it like that. You know what I mean?
Effectively, effectively.
Yeah. So it's just like, hey, like, how do we, right? Like, let's stop voting these like globalist elitists that aren't trying to help the average Canadian and get
Well,
someone
let's go
in.
back to my point about Singapore then. Like, well, why does Singapore need to have a military then? Like, they were poor. Like,
Well,
well, why? I think you need to have sovereignty. Like, otherwise, you can't just like you'll have to
yes,
roll
you
over when people
always
come.
need a military. But the difference between Singapore and another country is number one, Singapore plays the neutral role really well. Why? It's beside a bunch of large powers. Okay. Number two, it's a small maritime country, so you don't need to defend a bunch of crap. Okay. Right. So it's very different from Canada. We're large as crap. Okay. Number two, we're beside the U.S. Yo, and what universe, in what galaxy will you have China, Russia, the UK, France landing in Canada to defend Canada from a US invasion?
Wouldn't you say the same thing
And
for Norway or Finland, like against Russia? So like they fought off against Russians. So it just make
Russia?
yourself prickly enough that they don't want to attack you anymore.
What do you mean? Germany is strong enough to do that. Number two, again, right?
I was talking about Finland, right? Finland was a small country of a couple million people.
Yeah, but Finland has geographical advantages.
Canada's too big.
Yeah, Canada is too big, number one. So, like, also the US doesn't need to take all of Canada, right? Just imagine it. You can have the Arctic for free, bro. Like, you can have everything north of you. Or, like, they do the Russian, they do the Russian thing. Freaking, what do you call it? Land bridge to Alaska. Okay, right? They build a land bridge, take all of Western Canada, all of Alaska. Dude, they can blockade all of Canada. Who's gonna run that blockade? Okay, like, I'm just saying,
Until Canada capitulates, so those blockade Canada.
the best thing Canada should do, the best thing Canada can do, is just a decrease its military. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, America wants us to increase it, right? So that way we spend on military buying their stuff, and we don't need to improve the life of our citizens because we're not gonna. And then we can be quote unquote in charge of our own defense, but really we don't need to be. Right? Like if you want to
So
go the other
just
side,
literally
this is yeah, this is
haul out all the defense, and then like, do we even need nukes then
we
for
don't
our
have nukes to
sovereignty?
begin with.
We can build nukes pretty quickly, I think. Like about
Yeah,
two
yeah, we
years.
could, but US
We could
wouldn't
probably
want
build
that.
ICBMs.
Yeah, US wouldn't want that, right?
Yeah,
Here's
I'm
the
saying
thing.
we could. We could actually do it.
Look, if you want to go full independence, then yes, you do need that. But if you want to make your live citizens better, how do I improve the average wealth of the Canadians, right? Every Canadian. I'd be like, okay, what can I outsource, right? What can I not pursue, right? From an independence thing, right? And how do I bring in more money from the outside, right? And spend less, right? How do I spend less? Bring more in, spend less, right? Military is one of the things you're like, right? Why do I need it?
I feel like Canada's already sort of done that by having like uncontrolled immigration, right? You've already
Well,
let
you're
all
bringing
these
people in, you're not bringing
unvetted
money in.
people coming in. Like these people are not vetted, right? They're not. They don't. A lot of them don't hold Canadian values, and like,
Well, you're never gonna get someone that holds Canadian values from outside Canada.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but there's too many of them. You can't like.
No, like immigration is the thing. Like, look, we need immigrants. All right. Like at the end of the day, your population is shrinking, so like you need immigrants, but you can't. You can't. It's got to be controlled. Like that's another thing. Expand our domestic. Dude, I'm just looking at this, man. Expand our
Diplomatic
diplomatic
footprint.
footprint. What diplomatic footprint? You made an enemy out of everyone. Trudeau did that. The Liberal Party did that.
Middle East, India,
Yeah. What are we friends with?
China,
Right. The
Russia.
only thing we we're drinking the Kool-Aid is from like somehow like the UK or something. But then the UK is all lovey-dovey with the US. So like, what are we?
What about Latin America? How's Canada with Latin America? I actually know.
But that's US's back, in the backyard. I don't think we can do anything. Oh, I guess we're friends with Mexico now because like Mexico doesn't.
No, but Mexico has already backstabbed us. Like no one has their back.
Right. So it's just like,
Like
man, right?
Carney is really
It's
fucked
like,
up.
okay,
He's basically Trudeau too.
right. And it's like, hey, we're underfunded in security, democracy, human rights, right? All these things are chronically underfunded. And then you want to fund more with the industrial policy, everything's underfunded, right? Where's that extra fund coming from? Where's that extra fund coming from? From our tax dollars.
And that's dwindling tax base as well,
Yeah,
right? A lot of
dwindling
the
tax
towns,
base, right? And what do
the
we
wealth
pay
is
all these
leaving.
taxes for? All these things for what? What are we? How are we gonna make more money? How are the Canadians gonna get richer? Just compete with the U.S., who's 10 times our population, because magically we can, because Canadians are somehow smarter than the average American, despite our terrible education system. Because somehow we're more morally righteous, we're better, because we're nicer, we'll somehow make more money. Please tell me a nice person that makes a lot of money, and I'll give you a meaner
Well, to
one
be
that makes more
fair, our
money.
research is good, right? Like we invented insulin, we
Yeah,
invented
until the
AI, modern
Americans
AI.
took it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Oh,
they commercialize it.
yeah, and then all our best and brightest go to America. Hello, you're in America.
Well, this is what the next point is, like strategic thinking. Like they want to be a research hub, right?
Yeah, it's strategic thinking hub, but guess what? Nobody wants to go to Canada because you made a geopolitical enemy of
Oh wait,
everyone.
but now everyone thinks that America hates immigrants. Like you saw with the recent, I'm not sure if you saw the news. Trump like humiliated a bunch of like South Koreans.
Yeah, but what
They're
makes
saying they're illegals, but they're legal. They're here building a battery factory for Americans. Like what the fuck? Like, Americans can't build a battery factory. I'm like, they need these people. They're like, they should be begging these
yes,
people to come
yes, but why would these guys set up shop in Canada? I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, why would
because they
they
hate
spend?
America. They hate America. Like
Yeah,
they'll spite them, just spite themselves, just to spite America.
spite America, and then what? They're not going to make money off of it. The
They'll
Canadian
make some
consumer
money.
base
They
is
won't make as much money.
yeah. The Canadian number one, the Canadian consumer base is too small. Number two, we're still right beside America, so there's always this threat that the Canadian government will cave to American pressure.
So
Anything
you're
to
saying
do.
America, Canada can't be an export hub because our diplomatic relationships are so horrible.
Yes. Okay. Number one, look, whatever happened to Huawei can happen to anybody in Saudi Arabia, right? Like if or any Indian company, right? So yeah, maybe like you get it right. You say, oh, I only want the democratic ones, but then you're like, okay, well, if I'm a democratic one, why am I investing in Canada when I can invest in the United States? I can make more
That's
money
true.
in the United States. Like what? Why
I
why would
guess
I
money
invest in
is.
Canada? It's so dumb, right? It's
So this is
just
virtue
look, it's
signaling.
just as
You
dumb.
don't,
You
you
know
don't
what
think
it's
anyone's changed?
what's just as dumb as? It's just as dumb as why did I quit my like bajillion-dollar job, right? And come to Canada, right? When I could be managing a lot of money and making a lot of money, huh? And then become Prime Minister of Canada when I never spent most of my career in Canada. Why? I wonder. Is it because I can make probably more money? Because because my career is in finance and I'm a banker, and now I can pawn the Canadian tax dollars and use it to make myself richer
Sell it to Canadians.
and sell them hopes and dreams and peddle these policies that will, make the rich richer. Probably, right? Probably.
So this is idealistic thinking, you're saying.
Yeah. Look, I'm nothing.
Fantasy.
Look, I don't mind the rich getting richer as long as the poor is getting richer too.
You want the pie growing.
Yes, right? And none of these things are growing more pie because there's no more money coming in. It's just using existing Canadian dollars to give it to other Canadians. So it's just like, okay, you've been doing that for the past, 8, 12 years because that's what Trudeau's been doing. And yeah.
Because I think this policy has already been tried under Trudeau. Like, Canada's not going to be a research hub. It's not going to be a VC
No,
hub.
Canada
it's just a resource extractive country.
Yeah,
we just need to embrace that.
It can do that.
We're an oil country.
Well, look, you can do that by like bringing in a bunch of international students, right? But
why are they in Canada? They wouldn't come to Canada to do research. They'll go to America.
Well, you can make a justification for that, right? If you want to make it a research hub. But then guess what? Number one, right? You got to make sure you have the proper housing and all these things for them, right? Second of all, you need to pay for these research, right? So you got to actually research things that are important, right? Research things that the VCs actually want to buy, people want to buy, right? You need to monetize your research, which we don't do. We don't do any of that. We're like American companies. Oh, you wanted it. Okay. Right? But Canada could. Right now, people are scared of America, right? Immigrants don't want to come to America, right? So we can attract the best talents to come to Canada, right? We should make it easier for them to do that. And we did, right? But instead of attracting the best and the brightest talent, we turned it into some sort of farm. Do you get what I'm saying? It's farm.
Yeah.
Right?
The leftovers. We got like the leftovers.
Not just the leftovers. It's turns into this business of just, okay, instead of recruiting talent, we're just like, okay, you come here and we'll just give you a mediocre. Yeah, well, yeah. We'll come here for good education. We'll give you a mediocre one, and then we'll kick you out after you pay us. Right? That's not the way to do it.
Okay, next one. Transform CBC. Oh, this is like propagandas. Okay. We'll skip that one.
Dude, what do you mean? Dude, you can do that. Again, right? You need to be centralized.
You want CBC to be actually a propaganda mouthpiece for Canada?
Look. If you, I'm not against that. I think the government should have a bigger voice in things, right? Can say things, right? It's getting drowned out. But then
you want to be like Al Jazeera?
Let me say this. Then why did you stop the digital service tax? Right? Like, if you want to go fully independent, I'm all for fully independent Canada, right? You get rid of American media, right? You get rid of American tech, right?
But CBC has been like called out for being a liberal, slanted, right? A lot of conservatives.
You can change that. Like, you can change that, right?
But given the current administration, I don't think that's going to change up.
Well, of course not. But but you can change that. You're like, hey, you know what? We're going to pursue our own thing. So we're going to, if you want to post stuff and do stuff, right? It's going to be really hard for you to have access to our country, right? But then you're going to, talk about sort of freedom of speech and all this stuff. You're going to sort of impede on these things. And it's sort of authoritarian, right? But that's the balance you have to make, right? The sacrifice you have to make, which is like, do you want to be more authoritarian? Because like, it's funny. It's funny that in the segment they say like, hey, turn CBC into a global force, basically is saying, hey, let's be more authoritarian in a way, right? Because it's a government thing.
Example would be like Qatar, right? Al Jazeera. They have like disproportionate outreach, right? Reach for the media company.
Yeah, well, it's like the BBC or whatever. But if it's government backed, right? Do you want it to be? People have this idea that you should trust private. I don't understand why you would trust private media more, right? Than government media. I think what I think is you should view everything with the same amount of skepticism, right? Because everybody has an angle, everybody has a motive, right? These are all humans.
Let's move on to the next one.
Right.
Okay. Investing people. I think we were already doing this, like giving very generous like student loans.
Yeah. We're giving them generous student loans, and then guess what? After they take their elite education, they go to the U.S. Oh ho ho.
We're just training America's workforce.
Yeah, we're training the American workforce, right? We're giving all their money to thing, and then they get the tax stuff, and then we don't tax them in Canada. They get taxed the U.S., and then they make money for the U.S., and then they invest in the U.S. Oh ho ho, where'd their investment go?
Then they come back to Canada when they're retired.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? What the actual
Never pay any taxes in Canada.
Yeah. What the actual fuck, right? And no wonder inflation's going up, right? Look, how I would do this is, hey, if you got a grant, first of all, if you got a grant, You're forced to stay in Canada. You're like you get.
Or you pay back with interest.
No, not even interest.
No?
Because look, I only have a limited amount of capital. I can't invest in you and then have you go away, and then like the next person I invest, right? Like someone else who is staying could have got that investment.
But China doesn't even do this. So this is pretty draconian. Like China, like obviously subsidizes their education, right?
Well, no, I'm giving you subsidies. It's government subsidies. It's not
But
draconian.
China's the same thing, right? China's pretty authoritarian. They don't do that.
Yeah, but you're not getting my scholarship. Scholarship's not. Hey. This scholarships are not. You get what I'm saying?
No, even before the scholarship, I'm talking about just like subsidy. Like half the tuition is subsidized by like government grants, right? Or like international students, right? So
Yeah. You
so you have to pay double, right?
Subsidies if you're leaving.
Yeah, you have to pay double, right? Effectively, or triple.
Yeah. So it's like
so like I'm saying like even in China they don't force you to repay all the subsidies because it's obviously subsidized, right? It's education at every level, everywhere.
Well, that's because there's a surplus of talent, right? Oh, okay. Well, do we have a surplus of talent? We might.
Arguably, yes, in Canada too, but top tier talent, no.
No. Okay, exactly. Right.
Mediocre, average talent, plenty, right?
Right. So it's just like, look, if you want to break down the system, right? Again, I say all these things with caveats because you might be like, hey, well, you know, people have a freedom to move and all these things. But I'm like, hey, like, if you want Canada to be a truly independent power, you're gonna have to do all these things, right? And if you don't, it's actually better you go the other way, which is full open borders. Let's just become a 51st state. You can go to work in the U.S. You can do whatever, right? Then guess what? We'll get part of the federal budget from the rest of America, which is, hey, by the way,
equalization payments will benefit from that.
Better than Canada, by the way, because their economy is
like
so much bigger.
Mississippi being richer than Ontario per capita.
Yeah. Exactly, right? We'll get this huge, right? And we can negotiate that when we sign it. Hey, like we want a certain percentage that's even more than actually what we deserve, haha. And we want more seats, you know, because equal representation, haha. Right? And I think all these things, Trump would be like, you know what? We'll give it to you.
As long as he gets it done in his term.
Yeah,
right?
as long as he gets it done, and we sort of crown him emperor. Right? Which is like, whatever. Right? Like, okay, you know, take it.
But like, what about Carney? He doesn't want to be governor.
Yeah.
51st state.
Well, yeah, that's why he got elected, right? But he's not carrying out the mandate effectively, which is like, hey, if we want independent from the United States, then we have to have like.
You actually have to bite him back.
Yeah, you actually
right?
have to fight.
Not just bark.
Yeah, you have to fight. You can't bark, right? Like what does this mean? This means like, hey, if you're Canadian, right, no more grants for you if you're planning to leave, right? You're gonna have to pay back all your grants if you're leaving, right? Scholarships, what does it mean? If you take a Canadian scholarship, right, you can't leave. You know what I mean? If it's a government scholarship or if it's a university scholarship, fuck it, right? It will give you a full ride. You can't leave. You know what I mean? Like you're working to the Canada if you take it, right? If you don't want to take it, fine, right? We'll give it to someone who will take it. You get what I'm saying?
What about Canada being like
deserve it and then like, you know what I'm saying? Right? It's our scholarship anyways. Right? It's a Canadian scholarship. Like why are we funding American workers?
Anything else to add before we go?
It's just it's time to make a decision of where we want to be. Okay? And Mark Carney is just more of the same. It's just gonna make the rich richer. All his crap is not gonna get anywhere. Right? And I stand by that.
So 51st state, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay,
Look,
we'll leave it at that.
Make our decision, man.
Okay. We've been to the Prediction Desk. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.